We used Anchorite, we used Lydia. And look at their damage. You see, Anchorite, 500 million damage. Krisk, 29. Lydia, 688 million damage. Hello everyone, I'm Skratch. Welcome to the channel. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to improve your Hydra clan boss damage. Hell, maybe even double it. Now, of course, there are multiple options on how you can improve your damage. The very first thing is have champions. The second thing is have gear. Now, leaving the joke on the side, guys, there are a couple of different options. What we're going to focus on is gear sets. What artifacts give you the best value on your champions? And of course, we're going to have a quick look at their builds. We're going to talk a bit about blessings as well, because that's very, very important. Masteries. And I gotta say it, Hydra is heavily dominated by relentless sets. Now, the main reason why is because around 2+ years ago, when they released the Doom Tower as well, we used to pretty much destroy every single boss in game, all the dungeon bosses, including the new Doom Tower bosses with enemy max HP hits or poison detonation, so they were getting one shot. And Platinum didn't like that, so they added new passives. Enemy max HP and poison detonation is kept at 10%. So because of it, you don't really need Savage, you don't really need sets that bring in a lot of extra damage, because you're gonna hit the 10% cap regardless if you have a decent amount of crit damage, and of course if you're gonna have a defense down on the enemies, you're gonna hit the cap. So sets like Relentless, Reflex, etc., they kind of like came out to play for this sort of content. Now, you might want to improve your team for the Hydra Clash. You might want to go and grab one of these chests right here, you know, to grab those OP accessories. I'm gonna show you my teams that I've been using, guys. Now I gotta make you aware of it. My teams are pretty naughty for the Hydra on my main account, of course. So that's not what I'm gonna prioritize in today's video. I'm gonna go over more popular champions that people are using, and we're gonna have a quick look at how I have them built, what sets I think they bring the best value out of them. Now, right here on the screen, guys, we have some of the more popular champions: Royal Guard, Husk, Geomancer, we have Venus, we have Lydia, we have Nude, we have Mishinaki. We're gonna go over their builds, their gear sets, accessories, blessings, masteries, and I'm gonna tell you why they will work better like this. So, for example, we have this Royal Guard in Savage and Speed. Pretty good stats, right? Almost 250 speed, 250 crit damage, full crit, 300 plus accuracy. This champion will deal decent damage in Hydra. Now, if I'm gonna go over to this Royal Guard, Relentless, Perception, Refresh accessories, and 40 plus less speed, 20 plus crit damage less. His build is trash compared to the other one, but different set. Now, this Royal Guard will deal around 4-5 million more damage than the Savage Royal Guard. And when Hydra got released, the very first thing I've done when I've made my team for Nightmare was like, okay, Royal Guard, Savage. I was hitting the cap pretty easy, you know? So I was like, okay, let me just try Reflex and see how that plays out. Because I wasn't using my Royal Guard to land defense down and decrease speed. I'm still not using them like that. I have different champions for those roles. Their only role is to use takedown as often as possible. So Reflex were great. A1, A2, A1, A2 basically, right? Then I was like, let me try Relentless. We had a massive overflow of Relentless before Hydra, guys, because we didn't really had much to do with the set, actually. Like, it wasn't very viable on most of the champions, you know? And I tried Relentless, and I liked it more for the simple fact that a lot of times that extra turn was coming in as a clutch. So basically, maybe my champion was getting devoured, and I needed an extra hit to get that champion freed. And the extra turn was proccing on the Relentless, and I was rescuing my champion. Or maybe I was getting that extra turn to land the debuff, like with an Ugo, for example. So if your team is well built all around, guys, because we're not only talking about damage dealers necessarily, you do need to build your support champions well in order to deal good damage to have a successful team. That's why we have Lydia in here, we have Venus. These are debuffers, not necessarily support, but they are bringing in a lot of extra damage. And I gotta say it, we have the new cursed set since it got buffed, guys. the value for that set skyrocketed. It's just crazy, okay? I'm gonna show you some numbers in just a second. So my Royal Guard in Relentless, guys, is built like this. These are the total stats: 200 speed, full crit, 238 crit damage. I have no accuracy, but if you wanna have accuracy on him to land the decreased speed and the defense down, feel free to give him an accuracy banner. Now, when we are talking about blessings, if you have a 6-star blessing on your epic champion and he is a damage dealer, the absolute most powerful blessing is Crushing Rend at 6-star, because that's when it really works good. Every hit will ignore a percentage of the target's defense. Will ignore 1% defense for every 10 levels. So that is actually pretty damn nasty, because it's kind of like you're incorporating a Savage. So even if you have a lower crit damage, you might not have defense down all the time on the heads, you're gonna get to hit the cap pretty much all the time. That's why it's such a good one. Then, for example, if you have a lot of AoE champions, you might want to think about Cruelty. This is the second best blessing for Hydra Clan Boss. Maybe the first best blessing for Hydra Clan Boss, actually, because it lowers the defense on all the heads, allowing every single champion to deal more damage with every single skill, which is very, very helpful, you know. Yes, you can use as well Brimstone if you want to use it on a legendary champion that's single target. Since the nerf on Brimstone and it can get cleansed, etc., Brimstone is really not that powerful. And especially for Hydra, there are 3 heads that have multiple skills, 3 heads that have a basic skill and a secondary skill. So because of it, if you have an AoE champion and the Brimstone lands on the wrong champion, it can become pretty irrelevant, you know. So you want to make sure you're putting it on the right legendary that will be able to single target heads, and you're constantly paying attention to that champion and constantly landing the Brimstone on the right head. If no, this is an irrelevant blessing. As much as we hyped it up at the beginning and as much as we thought that is the best blessing in the game, it turned out to be a pretty mad disappointment for Hydra Clan Boss and regular Clan Boss. So honestly, I really think that Cruelty is the GOAT, and then Crushing Rend on some of the champions, but only if you have 6-star. So moving over to the next champion, Royal Guard, Masteries. Let me just show you the Masteries quick, because I want to make sure I'm showing you everything. So War Master, Spirit Haste, that's mainly because I didn't really have what else to take on it. You know, like this doesn't help because you're not gonna drop so much damage, so was pretty pointless. But basically, offense, this is the way you want to go. Then up to you if you're giving accuracy or different things on your champions. Geomancer. So I have 2 different Geomancers. I have one which is a 5-star Awaken on Cruelty, does a pretty amazing job, and he's built on a Relentless and Perception. Then I have a second one which is built on Reflex and of course on Perception. Perception, such a powerful set, guys. Now the total stats on the Reflex one, you see I prioritize speed, accuracy and some survivability. Now I'm using this Geomancer in the Iron Twins Fortress 2. That's why I have 500 plus accuracy, just in case if you are curious. But these are his stats, basically. So, for Geomancer, even though I might use the A2 every now and then, which is not very likely because I have block debuffs, so I don't really get to use it. I'm just using A1, A3. So a lot of times, with Geomancer, I'm gonna get the Reflex to proc enough and put the HP burn on multiple heads at the same time, and that will be very beneficial for his damage. Like, he needs to have the HP burn spread around on everyone if you want him to deal a lot of damage. Especially, you want to have a lot of AoE Hydra heads in the run in order to really maximize the damage with the Geomancer. So depending on the rotation as well, you want to look for heads that have AoE basic skills, you know. The Head of Blight, the Head of Suffering, the Head of Red. That's when Geomancer is at its prime, the best damage all around. Masteries for Geomancer. I actually have Eagle Eye on this one because I'm using him in the Iron Twins Fortress, so I'm going to show you the Masteries from the other one, because that's with War Masteries more viable for Hydra, you know. So we have War Master, I have Master Hexer, and Sniper. Sniper is to help me for the A1 to land at decreased accuracy. Cycle of Magic to help me a bit more. Lore of Steel just to increase a bit the speed and the accuracy from the Perception. And you could go with Arcane Celerity. that's a viable option. But then if you are running a champion like a Duchess, a Tatura, or a different champion like Doom Priest or a Tuhanarak to help you with the Head of Torment, if you're getting too much turn meter and you're overlapping them, that's going to be a bit of an issue, you know? So that's one thing to kind of like keep in mind. But refresh accessory is very important. You can purchase them from the bazaar, guys. Make sure you're purchasing them daily. Very, very important. So these are my two Geomancers. Total stats on the Relentless one, again, I prioritize speed, accuracy, and survivability. No raw damage whatsoever, because even though he can do a bit of raw damage, I prefer him to stay alive for his passive to do the work, rather than him dying because he's too squishy and basically losing the damage from his passive. Husk. So my Husk is built as well in Relentless, refresh accessories, crit damage set, but again, I prioritize pretty much the same stats. Now, he's not very fast, his full crit rate, good crit damage, and accuracy. Husk is easier to build than the other champions because he's already an HP based champion, he's tankier than the rest. Now, the main idea with him is that he can provoke. He's so powerful against the Head of Decay because of this skill right here. Has a chance to provoke. I don't often use the A3 right here. And again, you might be like, Skratch, isn't it easier to run Reflex on him and just go A2, A1? Yes, but the Relentless, the extra turn, brings me to the A1 again, allowing me to have another chance to provoke in case if the first one didn't actually land it. You know, so for this champion is better, you know. Masteries on him, we have offense and support, and I have War Master as tier 6. Now you see I have only a low awakening on him. So I actually went with this because we'll ignore 5% of the target's resistance. Now it's not necessarily one of the best blessings, but at the start, for the moment, there isn't anything else better than this for him, you know. So because he's only a 1-star, I would keep this. If not, probably if I would have him at a 6-star, would be Crushing Rend. That would be the GOAT blessing for him. Now let me show you the next set, guys, that really brings in a lot of value, man, and that is the Cursed set. Now this is such a game changer, and you can run it on champions like Ugo, you can run it on champions like Lydia, champions like Krisk, champions like Venus, champions like Anchorite if you're doing the infinite comp because he has an AoE target. You can run it on champions like Geomancer if you want because it's an AoE basic skill, you know. So the Curse set basically has a 50% chance to land a Hex debuff. Now this is my Lydia build and I'm using her on an infinite comp team. I'm going to show you the damage that I've dealt in just a second. And I have 279 speed. Now my Cursed set completely sucks, okay? I actually had to farm Golem for like an entire week to get a decent set to put together. And this is what I've got the best actually. Decent survivability, crit rate gloves, that's why I have low crit damage, 321 accuracy. Now I'm not using her on Nightmare, so it's not a problem whatsoever. Masteries, you want to actually go and have Sniper, you want to go and have Master Hexer, and let me just actually go and get this on her. That's a bit more beneficial. And you have War Master as a tier 6. Now when we are talking about blessings, I have Cruelty on her. You see, I could go and get a Brimstone at 5-star. But I really think that the value that Brimstone will bring me at 5-star, especially in an infinite comp team where once I set up, then the heads will never take a turn, is pointless. So that's why I don't want to run Brimstone. Even on the regular team, I don't want to run Brimstone. Because the A2 is AoE, and a lot of times I'm going to open with that skill when I go into the run, and the Brimstone might land directly, and then slowly the AoE will always mess up my Brimstone, landing on the wrong head, and just pretty much getting no damage from it whatsoever. So it's irrelevant to have that blessing in my opinion, so I decided to go with Cruelty instead, and help the rest of the team to deal more damage. You've seen the masteries. When you are using these sets, it's very important to get Sniper, guys, because it's only a 50% chance to land a Hex. This will make it a 55% chance actually helping your team. We have Venus, for example. So she is on a Cursed set as well. And I think she has crit rate gloves too, because why not? That's what I've got. That's what I'm using. I am using her on Brutal. So I need to have more accuracy on her. 270 speed. I'm using her in a completely different team. So I'm not using her in the Infinite Comp team. And like this, she actually brings in a lot of damage. Let me just quickly show you a screenshot of the previous run that I've done, and I do think she was on cursed. Look at this. So this is my Hydra Brutal key. I had Siphi, Taras, Molly, Supreme Gallic, Newt, and Venus. Now, if you're paying attention at the damage, you see I have Taras with 91 million, I have Newt with 65, and I have Venus with 71 million damage. You know why? Because of the cursed set, guys. It's pretty crazy, right? The damage that you're getting out of a champion because of the cursed set. Now, of course, that champion doesn't really bring extra damage. The rest of the champions bring the damage. My Supreme Gallic built on Relentless. I'm going to show you the build in just a second. Newt is built on Savage for the Fire Knight, so I haven't changed the build on him, but that actually justifies why his damage is lower than Supreme Gallic, why his damage is lower than Taras, because he had no extra turns whatsoever. So how you can see, I've actually reached the turn count in the Hydra. So basically, the key kicked me out of it. My team was still full alive, I was still able to do damage, but basically the game kicked me out. So look at that curse set, how much damage it actually added to Venus. That's why I strongly suggest you go and farm Ice Golem to put your hand on a curse set. It will be absolutely game changing. If you have the opportunity to go and win a tournament, win some Relentless, even if it's 5-star, go and do it. Do that go for that extra mile and go for the extra mile and put your hand on a Relentless set as well. This will really improve your damage. Now, when you're farming the Ice Golem, you're going to get Cursed and you're going to get Reflex. Both of these sets will be absolutely amazing. In the Bazaar, make sure you're purchasing the Refresh accessories daily. Now, you do need to be in specific tiers in order to have access to it, but definitely go and do it. This is my Newt right here, so I'm using him in the Fire Knight. He's in Savage, you see. And with this build, he actually dealt that damage that I showed you before. He does have pretty good stats, good speed, good accuracy, because I'm using him in the Fire Knight is very important. But all around, he performed very, very well in Hydra. And I was actually impressed with the damage all around. These were the masteries on him. Giant Slayer as tier 6, because he's a multi-hitter. Master Hexer on the support tree here, just for the A2. And he was pretty well, doing a pretty good job. Then I have my Mishinaki. I think I recently showed you guys how I built him. So I have him on Relentless, Perception, and Total Stats. I need him pretty fast because he lands the defense down. He brings in the Hex and all the rest of the things. So I'm using him on my Nightmare team where I don't have a curse set on anyone. But basically this is his build. I need to up a bit his accuracy. And you see, even on him, I don't have Brimstone, I have Cruelty. Because again, how I mentioned, Brimstone is annoying. I have 2 AoE attacks on this champion. It's really not gonna help me whatsoever. It might, if I'm doing a run where I reach the turn limit, okay, which I've done on Nightmare as well, that's how I've got so much damage. Probably that Brimstone would help me, I don't know, and bring 1 million damage at maximum, not even that, you know. So that's why I decided to go with a different blessing. Let me quickly show you my Supreme Gallic, because that's another champion that's pretty popular actually. So he's built in Relentless as well. I'm using him on my Brutal team. He's not so fast, but fairly decent build. 5k attack, 43k HP, 2.3k defense, 234 speed. He only needs 90 crit rate, 250 crit damage, 330 accuracy. And I do have Brimstone on him, but again, it doesn't really land much. And that's what I've got on him when I got the champion. And I just never decided to change it because nothing will really help him whatsoever at 1 star. You know, the blessings are not really relevant at 1 star. Like they used to be when they got released, you know. And masteries, very similar. Offense and support is the way to go. You don't want to have defense 3, counterattack in Hydra is pretty irrelevant, you know, like it's not making much sense like in Clan Boss. Now, if you're using the champions in both, then yeah, prioritize the regular Clan Boss more because that's what gives you the very juicy rewards, you know, so keep that in mind. And I feel like that's pretty much everything in terms of champions and builds, guys. Let me just quickly show you the damage that I've done on Heart, actually, this time around with the Infinity Comp. And if we're gonna go actually here, because we're able to display the damage a bit better. There we go. So we're gonna go over to Heart. And this is my team. We used Anchorite, we used Lydia. And look at their damage. You see Anchorite, 500 million damage. Krisk, 29. Lydia, 688 million damage. Lenekis, 4 million. Brogni, 124 million. Cadaver, 1.7 billion. So I've dealt a total of 3 billion damage on Hard Hydra. I had a cursed set on Anchorite, a cursed set on Lydia. And you can see their damage. Like, is an absolutely game-changing set, guys. I know I said it before. Go and farm Ice Golem, put your hand on a set like this, and double your damage. It's absolutely insane how much extra damage you're getting out of it. Hopefully you found this video helpful. You got an idea on how to build your champions, what sets to prioritize, accessories, etc. Let me know in the comments down below, how is your Hydra team built? Are you using these sort of things on some support champions, debuffers, or damage dealers? You prefer Reflex over Relentless? Are you using a curse set in your team yet or no? That was all for the video. Much love. Appreciate all of you guys watching, and I'll catch you all soon in the next video. Peace.